Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking you on a virtual journey, straight into the Himalayas, focusing on two real gems, Kullu and Manali.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission, really, is to take all the info we've gathered, articles, notes, everything, and, well, distill it down. So you get the essential knowledge, you feel really informed about these amazing places.
Yeah.
We're talking stunning beauty, deep spiritual roots, and, of course, loads of adventure. We want to uncover what makes them tick.
Exactly. That's the goal, to give you that complete picture, drawing on everything. And geographically, well, Kullu and Manali, they're like these two key spots right in the Kullu Valley. That's in Himachal Pradesh, up in northern India.
Right.
People often mention them together, because they're so close. Both situated along the Bijli River, nestled in the western Himalayas.
Okay, so they're close, share the same river valley, but they feel distinct, right?
Yeah.
How do they fit together geographically but still offer different things? What are the key differences there?
Well, a big part of it is the altitude. It's quite different. Kullu, you see, it's lower down, around 1,200 meters, which is what, about 3,900 feet?
Okay.
But Manali, it climbs much higher. We're talking nearly 2,050 meters, so closer to 6,700 feet.
Wow, that's a significant jump.
It really is. And that's even though they're only like 40 kilometers apart, maybe an hour on the road.
Huh.
But that elevation difference, yeah, it really shapes the character of each place, the climate, the kind of experience you get.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh.
Okay, so let's dive into Kullu first then. It's often called the Valley of Gods, which sounds pretty impressive. You hear about lush valleys, temples, big festivals.
Oh.
And it's a gateway, right, to other treks.
Absolutely. Kullu really earns that name, Valley of Gods. It has this deep spiritual vibe. You got ancient important temples like the Raghunath Temple dedicated to Lord Rama. And then there's the Bijli Mahadev Temple. Reaching it involves a bit of a trek, but wow, the panoramic views from up there, they're incredible. Plus, the temple itself is quite unique. But culturally, the standout is probably the Kullu Dussehra. It's a week-long celebration, and it's quite different from Dussehra elsewhere in India. It holds onto these really ancient traditions, focuses on local deities. It draws people from all over the world, actually.
A week long. Wow.
Yeah, it's a huge event. And Kullu is also really famous for its handicrafts. The hand-woven woolen shawls.
Oh, yeah, the Kullu shawl.
Exactly. Those and the caps, the topis, and some really beautiful local silver jewelry. Very distinctive.
Right.
And like you said, it's a jumping-off point. You can explore places like the old Nagar Castle nearby, or Manikaran Sahib, famous for its hot springs, and a really significant Sikh Gurudwara.
Okay.
And then there's Kasol, which, interestingly, people often call the mini Israel of India.
Mini Israel. That's intriguing. Really shows the mix of influences. Okay, so moving up in altitude then to Manali. Feels like this is the adventure hub, the popular resort town.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Manali is definitely one of India's most popular hill stations. Higher altitude, snow-capped peaks visible all around, famous for its apple orchards, too.
And honeymooners, right. I hear that a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Big honeymoon destination. It's got year-round appeal, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, distinct features. While there's old Manali, it still has this charming, almost village-like feel. Lots of cool cafes, those apple orchards, traditional wooden houses. It's a bit more laid back than the main town.
Nice contrast.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And for adventure, Solang Valley is like the epicenter. That's where you go for paragliding, zorbing. In winter, it's skiing and snowboarding.
Right, the classic Manali activities.
Exactly. And you can't talk Manali without mentioning Rohtang Pass. It's this high mountain pass nearly 4,000 meters up.
Wow.
It's the gateway connecting the Kullu Valley over to Lahore and Spiti, usually open from, say, May to November, depending on the snow. The drive itself is an experience.
I can imagine. And culturally, any key spots like in Kullu?
Oh, yes. There's the Hadimba Devi temple. It's ancient, made of wood, and sits in this beautiful, dense forest of deodar trees, those big Himalayan cedars, really atmospheric.
Sounds lovely.
And then there's Vashisht village, just across the river. It has another ancient temple, but it's also known for its natural hot springs, these sulfur springs. People believe they have healing properties. You can actually take a dip.
Hot springs sound perfect after some mountain adventures.
Okay, so this brings us right to the adventure tourism aspect. It sounds like both places offer a ton, really cementing that reputation. Where do the real thrills kick in? What are the absolute must-do adventures?
Yeah, the range is huge, catering to pretty much everyone. Trekkers, oh, it's paradise. You've got famous routes like the Hampta Pass Trek, Biskund, Brigu Lake, slightly tougher ones like Deotiba Base Camp. Loads of options.
Okay, trekking is big. What else?
river rafting, especially on the Bees River down closer to Kullu. That's a major adrenaline rush.
And for something maybe a bit calmer, you've got great spots for camping and fishing, particularly over in the Rohtang Valley, which is near Kullu, or along the Parvati River near Kasol.
Nice.
And then, of course, winter changes everything. Manali, especially Solang Valley, and sometimes Rohtang Pass, when it's accessible, become playgrounds for snow sports. Skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing, that sort of thing. You can just picture it, right? Those snowy peaks, the crisp air.
Definitely paints a picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so practically speaking, if you're listening and thinking, right, I want to go, what's the best time? And how do you actually get there?
Good questions. The best time really depends on what you want. Summer, say April to June, is generally lovely. Pleasant weather, great for sightseeing, trekking, rafting, all that.
The peak season, probably.
Yeah, generally the most popular. Then comes the monsoon, July to September. It gets incredibly green and lush, really beautiful in its own way. But you do have the risk of landslides, so travel can sometimes be disrupted. Something to keep in mind.
Okay, fair point.
Then winter, October through February, that's when Manali gets snowfall. So if you want that winter wonderland experience, see snow, maybe ski, that's your window. Perfect for snow lovers, and yeah, still very popular with honeymooners then too.
Got it. And transport. How do you reach Kullu and Manali?
Well, by road is very common. They're well connected by bus and taxi services from major hubs like Delhi. That's a fair drive, maybe 12, 14 hours, around 550 kilometers, or Chandigarh, which is closer, about 300 kilometers, maybe 8, 9 hours.
Okay, road's an option. Flying.
Yep, flying is possible. The nearest airport is actually Buntar Airport, which is right near Kullu town, only about 10 kilometers from Kullu and maybe 50 kilometers, so about an hour and a half or 2 hours drive from Manali. Flights are usually from Delhi or Chandigarh.
Convenient. And trains.
Trains are a bit trickier. The nearest actual railhead is Joginder Nagar, but it's a narrow gauge line, not very practical for most travelers. Usually people take the train to Chandigarh or maybe Pathankot and then catch a bus or taxi the rest of the way.
Right. Okay. So road or flight to Puntar seem like the main ways in.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now, beyond the landscapes and the adventures, there's clearly this rich culture you've touched upon. What about the people themselves, the local traditions?
Yeah.
What's the feel of the place in that sense?
The people there, the locals, are generally known for being really warm and hospitable. They're rooted in what's called Pahari culture. That's the culture of the mountain communities in the Western Himalayas. It has its own distinct traditions, dialects, music.
Okay.
Religion is very central. It's predominantly Hindu, and you see that in the importance of the temples, the local deities, the festivals like Dussehra we talked about. Spiritual stories are woven into the landscape. Language-wise, Hindi is widely spoken, and English is common in tourist areas. But you'll also hear local Pahari dialects.
And you mentioned Tibetan influence earlier.
Yes, that's quite noticeable, especially around Manali, actually. You'll find Buddhist monasteries, lots of Tibetan refugees settled in the area over the years. So you see prayer flags, stupas, Tibetan markets selling crafts and food. It adds another really interesting layer to the cultural mix.
Yeah, it sounds like a real blend. It really shows how, different influences shape a place's identity over time.
Absolutely. It's part of what makes the region so fascinating.
Okay, so it's really clear that Kullu and Manali, while neighbors in this stunning valley, offer quite different flavors, yet they complement each other beautifully. If you had to quickly summarize the key takeaways for someone trying to decide between them or maybe visit both, what would those be?
Sure. Let's try a quick rundown. Altitude. Kullu's lower, around 1,200 meters. Manali's higher, about 2,050 meters. That's a key difference.
Love it.
Famous for Kullu, think Dussehra festival, those beautiful shawls, temples, the valley feel. Manali, it's more known for snowfall, adventure sports like paragliding and skiing and being a honeymoon spot.
Okay.
Ideal for. Kullu is maybe more for culture buffs, nature lovers wanting valley walks, local experiences. Manali leans towards honeymooners, snow seekers, and serious thrill seekers. Nearby spots to explore. From Kullu, you've got easy access to places like Kasol, Manakaran, Rohtang Valley. From Manali, the big draws nearby are Solang Valley for activities and Rohtang Pass for the views and access to Lahal Spiti.
Perfect summary. And the river.
Both share the Bees River. It flows right through the valley, connecting them both physically and visually. It's the lifeline, really.
What a fantastic deep dive. You've really brought Kullu and Manali to life. It feels like we've journeyed there. It's so clear how they offer this amazing blend, spiritual calm, just jaw-dropping natural beauty, and then all that thrilling adventure, too. It really seems like there's something for pretty much any kind of traveler, whether you want peace and quiet, an adrenaline fix, Or just, a cozy cafe with a killer Himalayan view.
It definitely does. And, listening to all this, it kind of brings up an interesting question, doesn't it? How do places like Kullu and Manali, these destinations with such deep cultural roots and incredible natural beauty, manage to balance all of that?
Yeah.
Balance their heritage and serenity with, well, the growing demands of modern tourism, the adventure industry, and still keep enchanting so many people from all over.
That is a really profound thought to end on, something for all of you listening to mull over. How do they maintain that magic? We hope this deep dive gives you a fantastic springboard, whether you're dreaming up your own virtual escape or maybe even planning a real trip to these incredible Himalayan wonders.